How's it going, folks? I never thought in my imagination that I would come across a person who is popularly has been popular on the YouTube and through similar, waking up call and held rallies. And his name is Farnos. Farnos, who runs 99% United. 99 means the majority of the people going, and he represent them to go against 1%. So basically, he was talking about a video and he started this whole campaign and successfully has ran a rally against 5G in Melbourne, CBD, and he did got arrested by the police by um, spreading one of the Bibles, I guess one of the scripts, relevation, and he got arrested. And I've met this guy through a friend. We were playing poker night at my mate's house. And, he was working as security and didn't say much, this and that. And I never thought he would come down to this. He's so popular, more than 40,000 likes, followers in his page. He's talking about how he's against this 5G. And when I spoke to my mate about him, and I was like, man, he must have had families or things like that to think that way. But it turns out he doesn't have a family or things like that. So I only watched 2 of his videos. I haven't watched too many of them because there's just too many of the videos. And what really struck him the most is, I guess, with the lockdown and with the media as well. And he's woken up and, he's sick and tired. He wants to stand up for the people like us. And cashless society is bad, this and that. And I cannot disagree with him at all. Like, he's saying some good points, but he just focused too much of the global of the outcome. He's focused too much and the Sweden migrants, and the Sweden, the cashless and and how we're not having any control in our life, this and that. Fair enough. I'm not saying anything bad about it. He has all these points. But who I don't know why, but I find amazed, he's living up in my area as well. So people who transform into this type of person usually doesn't live in that type of area because it's not very virtual signal, or it's pretty out of the 10K radius of the city, so it's not too bombarded with this whole thing. But he's very paranoid with this whole 5G. He quit his job to pursue this full time, and I have to say, geez, people like him to do this, good on him. Like, many people wouldn't even think about it. But if I can show this video to him, and even his friends tells me he doesn't know much. He only knows what's been happening with the coronavirus and things like that. Let's just say coronavirus has introduced a different era. All right. Human civilization, we've evolved from hunter-gathered, agrarian, industrial, now technological. And this very time and moment, we have entered the AI technological, which means there's a brain on the technology now. Everything is moving forward, all right? He's right about the cashless. He's right about the power. He's right about the ownership and controlled. He's right about it. But he has to look deeper down, like what is going on with our daily lives. For example, you can't, if you want to withdraw more than $10,000 from the bank, you have to ask for the bank for the request. Back in the days, you want 10,000 from the bank account, no problem. They give you 10K cash. But also, back in the days, banks, when you go to the banks, the first thing they ask you, do you want to sign up a credit card or personal loan? Nowadays, they shove you down your throat and use one of their computers and access your client ID number and things like that. And everywhere I go, I see more surveillance. I see a lot more, bit more, cash is like literally dead. Lots of shop nowadays prefer cardless, contactless payments, and where we are forced to use card payments. And when you introduce cashless society, one thing that changes people is the money. The instant gratification of the use of the money is nothing compared to you handle, having $300 notes on your hand, comparing a card, just tap on the $300 of worth of goods. So we have evolved the use of cash. We have gone to that stage. Even nowadays, many people use smartphones having the fingerprint or face recognition password. So we are submitting to this whole security, or he likes to call it the marking of the beast, or those who Christianity believe in that. I'm not too religious, so I wouldn't know too much of that. And he also announced anti-vaccine for coronavirus, and as well accepting marking of the beast, the microchip on your hand. Well, I believe all of us will be forced into it, even when we're left with no choice to be in that position. And in the last 2, 3 decades, what has been focused on the news so much was terrorism. And of course, with with second wave coronavirus, or perhaps potential bigger wave, the only way to counter these sort of attacks or coronavirus is having AI cameras installed everywhere. I remember when Big Brother was introduced to Australia at the show, that's when 24-hour surveillance camera was introduced on Sydney Harbour Bridge and as well the Opera House. I still remember when I was a kid, when I was watching news, that many multinational companies will introduce self checkouts, right? Self serve checkouts. I remember last year when went to Sydney, went to one of the Macca's suburb called Auburn, which is a very, very, it's like a suburb in Melbourne, like Broady, just all self serve. There's no one serving you. Well, I see in the coronavirus, I get to see a lot more places installing a lot more surveillance cameras, especially in Coles and Woolworths. And as well with the checkouts, self-serve, there's a camera facing right for you, and there's a little screen. Where you go to the city, the metro, which is owned by Woolworths, there's no workers there. There's all self-checkouts. There's only 2 workers. If you don't believe me, you can go to Swanston Street on Metro, and another one on King Street as well, Metro. It's a new norm now that everyone's accepting. And as well, people tend to forget passwords. The new thing right now is to have a fingerprint. So it's a substitute to access your account. Nowadays, everything is password security access. The reason why people are using, or the society or the government wanting to force you to use technology or not using cash or bank cards, is because the advancements of the technology of the fearmonger of the 3D printing. It can print out guns, it can print out FPOS cards and money as well. Banks right now are phasing out, ATMs are phasing out. And you know what? If people use smartphones, currency, whether you scan QR code or barcodes or payments or go through Afterpay or whatever, the multinational or the banks doesn't need to pay for infrastructure where individuals have to upgrade their phone. That's your infrastructure. That's your problem. That's why smartphones nowadays gone cheaper and cheaper, gone better and better, and people are glued on the screen on the smartphones. So you have that. That's what I see in the society nowadays. It's gone through like that. When I was in China, I get to see that many of those who probably my age and my parents' age, they all use the WeChat Pay, scanning QR codes every left, right, and center. So that's a new society. Sweden. I have probably like my mum's side, my grandma's side, quarter of the family was in Norway. They use the contact lens um, payment, which is like an ID card. That's what they called. Driver license, bank card, all your cards into one ID card. You tap, tap, tap everywhere you go. In today's world where we have to use phones, now phones is a lot more secure, a lot more trackable, and things like that. And also, if you Google search what is the cashless society countries, Australia is one of them. And we use the high percentage of using FPOS. So if you do watch this video, Vados, I hope you got, better understand where we're going towards. As nowadays, New South Wales this year, you can also Google this. There's no more driver license. Driver license cards are being abolished, are being phasing out. People use the NSW services to trackable their e-driver license. We already phase out rego stickers on our car. We just pay online. And right now what we see with the coronavirus, to see how its online infrastructure holds up in this society. So many things has going on a lot now. Like many things has going mobile. Less contact, as you can see in this coronavirus. For example, you want to see your local GP. You have to download the app, make a phone appointment, then select your GP, make your time, your GP contact you, and transfer over the phone, give you some medical scripts right in front of the counter, you collect it, you go. This is the new world that we're into. There's so much going on. And with the cashless cash ban limits, I think, it's a hot topic right now. Many people, or you say 99% of the people who works full time, who doesn't have the time or motive to think about the world or the future. So that's why I say, and also the new cars nowadays, you need a CarPlay. New South Wales has introduced like an X-ray cameras. So if you're gonna use your phone, or perhaps the passenger use the phone for video calls, the driver gets demerit points. You get a fine. So you need a CarPlay. A CarPlay basically your voice recognition. For example, it's like a Siri. Hi Siri, I'd like to contact the X, Y, and Z. Hi Siri. Now Google phones nowadays, they're so popular with the voice recognition on Siri, to access everything. That's Google phones nowadays. And new cars, electric cars, where we're heading towards to, even more advanced electrical. Welcome to the AI technological generation. We have moved to this stage. Last couple of decades was the baby version of this whole thing. You mentioned in the video, they try to get rid of the middle class. You have the high and low class. Now, if you spoke to Bill's mate Anthony, who owns the deli shop, he used to pay his workers like $21 or $20 an hour. Since our last year, the government has introduced single touch payroll. I'm pretty sure you've seen this app on your YouTube screen non-stop last year. It's called Xero, Xero. Google search that, and Google search single touch payroll in Australian ATO website. Tells you what is going on. Anthony now has to pay her workers, his workers $27 per hour tax on the books. The family struggling to work. They have to work extra more hours where the workers work less hours to make big money. This is the problem, what's going on right now. So yeah, equality, right? These are all the stuff I can say out on top of my head. We are heading towards a cashless society. 5G is part of it. And to run this whole gigabyte, of this brain, of this AI computer, and thanks to us, we are hooked on these smartphones. You talk about David Icke. David Icke used a bloody brick phone. Doesn't even touch a smartphone. We're all using it, mate. Alright, that's the video. I hope you guys enjoy it.